Hi, I'm Britton LaRue, and this is Moon to Moon. Moon to Moon is a space to consider, celebrate, and share the ways we come home to ourselves, anchor through change, and uncover our power. 1 month, one phase, one loving step at a time. Hello, Moon to Moon. It's Britton, your host, and I'm coming to you here under a Libra moon, nearly a Scorpio moon, which brings us into the dark moon period of the lunar cycle before the new moon in Sagittarius cycle begins this coming weekend. I'm coming into this, as I tend to do all dark moon downloads, with a vague sense of what I'm going to speak to. I have pulled some cards that I may or may not tell you about. I have a desire to be in a looking back space, a looking over, feeling into what I and we have been experiencing since the new moon at the beginning of the month of November. It really is like we're in a totally new reality. I don't find this new reality that we're in as yet super articulatable. But I have some things that have been coming into view over the last 4 weeks. And I'm going to lean into a way to speak about these with you now. I want to share that I always do the same 11 card spread at the new moon. Some listeners may know this. It's an 11 card spread that pretty much came from Lindsay Mack's Tarot for the Wild Soul class that I took, I think, 2018, like a long time ago now. I may have changed a couple meanings in the spread, but it's her, at the time, her approach to like an updated Celtic cross type of spread, but more in affinity with the Tarot for the Wild Soul approach. And I've always leaned into this spread. Like, I just really love it. And there is an outcome card. The last card is an outcome card. And this is always really interesting because for me, emergence astrology, emergence as a way of being, is one which is about attunement to the present moment and like what is here, what is coming up now, and constantly shifting according to the response to the present moment. So it's a very animated, very alive, very responsive way of living. Keeps things very fresh. And also, emergence astrology embraces paradox. And this isn't to say that my approach doesn't have space for divination. Doesn't have space for what will happen. For me, divination is by the way, I'm in ongoing living into the question of what is divination to me and what is divination according to emergence astrology. To divine. It's a really co-creative experience with mystery to me. And what makes it creative is the choice to be an active listener and to be regularly, every day, kind of all day, attuned to oneself and attuned to the environment in this kind of like heightened sense kind of way, and availability for subtleties, attuning to how that which is being divined is also shifting with you from the current moment. So for my outcome card, I pulled the Eight of Cups. And many of y'all know that the Eight of Cups has a lot of associations for me. That's like a big card in various teachings of mine, which I'll speak to in just a minute. So when I saw that as the outcome, it was like, ooh, sassy. Sassy, okay? What? Because I only pull the Eight of Cups when it's going to be loud. And sure enough, I pulled it again, and I pulled it again, and I pulled it again, this whole lunar cycle. And I felt fear, like what's coming up in me? I had some fear. This is not a problem, but I noticed it. Continuing to reattune to, like, what's this fear about? What are you afraid it means? You know? And here on the day that I was like, that's when I need to do the dark moon download, because then I'm going to be not working for a few days. And this is classified as work to my loved ones, because it means I close the door on them, even though it doesn't feel like work to me. So, in honor of my family, this needed to happen today. And the card I pulled for, what is this dark moon download? What do I need to know for the dark moon download? Eight of Cups. And this morning it was like, what? I don't know. I've been asking and I've been asking. And just like fabulously, this is how it's an outcome, is I don't know until the end, you know? I don't know until the end. I'm on this whole journey with the outcome card for 4 weeks. Like, I wonder what it's going to mean. I wonder what it's going to mean. I wonder what it's meaning. Do I know what it's meaning yet? Has the meaning become clear yet? How many clarifiers do I need to pull until I understand what this means? And then it was like, boom, I pulled clarifier. What? I pulled clarifier, Queen of Discs. And I'm going to get onto all this more. This is just all my prelude. But the Queen of Discs just told me exactly what it is. And the key word phrase is all that we're leaving behind. All that we're leaving behind. And I pulled another card, like, anything else you want me to know about this? In terms of like high level, what information should Britain have today? And they just sent me Knight of Swords, which is really like, just open your mouth and start talking. Let's just do this. So that's the prelude. All that we're not bringing with us or taking with us. We'll just see whatever comes forward more. To be described more deeply in a minute. In terms of those card significations and any other cards that I want to bring through today for us. So, yeah. It's been a time of turnover. You know, we've been turning over. We had an election we had an election. And this is still an inarticulatable piece of the threads here for me, because something inexplainable is going on vis-a-vis the unfolding of the events for the United States of America and also the world in terms of controlling leadership and controlling people. And I don't know how to describe how I felt since the election except weird. It hasn't been super anxious. It wasn't an existential crisis. It wasn't a primal howl. I feel like those are much more how I felt 8 years ago. There was a sort of like thud. This is just me. Everyone's allowed to have their own feelings, you know? I'm describing how I felt. Just, first of all, there was a mother piece for me, because this election was really difficult for my daughters that are teens. So for me, there was a mother piece around allowing myself to be a body that they can co-regulate against. And how can my regulated body be of service to them in a time that is it feels very frightening to them and to people they love, and to how they're understanding this world now as young people, not kids anymore. But then there was this other piece of like, I don't think that that's really what's happening. Like this, it really doesn't feel naive or in denial. It's kind of just like, I'm not really resonating with that timeline. I don't think that that's actually here. This thing that people are describing is happening. And it really actually feeling like very calm and just sort of like, we're waiting right now, we're listening. And the direct messages I got from my guidance were saying how important it is for us to each be really careful about how much information from the media, from news sources, even from social media channels, how much information to take in right now. Like that the most important information we can be receiving is from our own gnosis. These are the things that I teach. This is what I teach. And it's the time to remember your skills and remember your tools for attuning to your own information, creating a container for yourself to feel safe inside, for listening, and then acting from that place and being pretty picky. This is a time to be unapologetically picky about access to our mind, and our thought space, and our inner worlds, because it feels to me true that our inner worlds are where we are meant to bring in the information that's important then for us to serve with and to act from and to participate from inside. This is not about pretending things aren't happening. This is not about escapism, actually, at all. It's about protecting the sacredness of our own channels and honoring that everyone's going to be receiving different information and having a different experience. So it's important to validate however you feel to be or whatever comes through for you as your unique thing, and letting everyone else have their own experience. We do not need to be matching to agree with one another. Because when we aim to create like an aggregated match, it's not as symphonically powerful. So I've been just noticing a desire to really like just let disappear and move out of my space anything that doesn't feel in resonance with my own frequency, so that I can keep my channel clear and speak, act, participate, create from that place. And my reality then comes through that frequency. That's the reality I want to be living. So, this was a time where I closed my 2 fall containers. We completed in Moon to Moon the course, and we completed in Cave Space. And I felt so proud of both of those. There's a lot of melancholy when I complete containers. But also, and I completed my Underdog to Diva group coaching from the spring. And now I've started another one, which has its own very unique vibration because of the human beings that were attracted to the call. So I'm very honored that that's been a turnover for me, and it feels like a whole new experience. We just got started. And then we had also Pluto moving into Aquarius, which I think is really huge. It feels different now than the sneak peeks we got the last couple of years. And I think the plutonic aspect of the Eight of Cups is here in the sense of awareness about what has to die because it's not actually in affinity with aliveness. And that's a big part of Eight of Cups to me in Vulture Magic, which I was lucky to be able to talk about a lot in Cave Space as this was going on, because we have a whole section devoted to the emergent no in Cave Space, my teachings, and Vulture Magic, my teachings that are tied in part to the Eight of Cups. Also in this time period, I had a firstborn child turn 18. It's kind of amazing. Nothing's changed. Everything has changed. She's actively applying for colleges. I took her to New York with Matt, my partner, his senior in high school, and we looked at colleges in New York and hung out with my brother and his family, and I got to speak. That felt like a big deal. It didn't feel like a big deal moving up to it, but when I was seated there speaking, and then after, I was like, whoa, that was kind of a big deal. The talk was Unshaming Saturn. And it felt like huge culminating energy, which is very Saturn as well. Big culminating energy around the whole Unshaming project for me. And just the honor of being able to speak in front of so many people who love astrology, who maybe have never heard, most of them have never heard of me. They don't know what emergence astrology is. They don't listen to Moon. They're not following me on Instagram. They've never heard of this before. They've never heard of it before. Unshaming the signs, unshaming the houses. This is like a whole new topic. And a lot of them have different ways of approaching astrology, talking about astrology. They ask questions that I don't really ask in my spaces. And there's a little bit of a fear around that, but not really, because I feel myself to be very, very supported and held from the unseen when it comes to the unshaming stuff. I just took my seat and took the microphone, and it happened. Extraordinary experience for my body, for my spirit, for my heart, for my mind. Like at every level, I feel so grateful to have been invited by Danny Larkin, who runs this particular group, and just given the shot. Like, just someone gave me a shot. They gave me a shot to hold the mic. And I made almost the most revenue that any talk of theirs has ever had. I brought in, because it's based on just the revenue. I feel like my community, all y'all, like, people really showed up, but I think there are also just a lot of people that are like, unshaming Saturn, what? And they wanted to find out, and it makes me just so happy that so many people want to talk about shame and Saturn. Like, yes, let's do this. I got sick in there then. So that was a whole liminal experience. Lost my voice. And, it was the full moon in Taurus. Taurus rules the vocal cords in the throat, and I couldn't talk, which is fascinating. Listening instead. And now here I am at the beginning of the promo window for my brand new offering, Unshaming Your Chart, which, has a lot of culminating energy around it. It has this kind of, it also has like a Mercury and Virgo quality to it, because it's really asking me to create a living system for this project. Everything that I've done has been loosely connected pieces, loosely connected things where I'm like repeating concepts, I'm repeating key ideas, but it's not contained into a single thing. So, someone might consume all of it, but most people are consuming at edges and pieces, And so Unshaming Your Chart is the first time now that I'm going to be visualizing it rather inside of a large container that people commit to for 2 months. And it will have a more of a pedagogical point of view and a living system approach, so that once you bring charts in, it becomes so much more complicated, because Living the Signs was chartless. But Unshaming Your Chart is inviting me to be prepared for the fact that everybody's chart's different. So, how can everyone receive what they need when there's 1 gazillion possibilities that are coming in? So that's why it's got this Virgo quality to it, this Mercury and Virgo, thinking about what are the systems to set into place so that it's not a mess, So it's taking this very Piscean dream into a practical system that's flexible enough to be alive and to be able to shift for each person, and is not like gonna tell people what to do or make it's like 1, 2, 3, you've done it. It's like it still allows for paradox and contradiction and not knowing and mystery, because those are things that are really valuable to me. And to me, systems get boring when they become too rigid. So I want a breathing, animated, living system for this experience. And so that's like been taking up a lot of my space lately. And this feels like the time then to move into all that we're not bringing with us. I mean, let's start with debilitating shame, Let's start by validating how you feel about the time we're living in, and not silencing yourself or muting yourself for fear that there might be something wrong with the way you talk about or address the time that we're living in, as if there's a wrong way and a right way. Because that is shame culture. We are so used to being policed. We are so used to it that we even presume it of some of the most ostensibly loving, progressive spaces. I mean, it can be there. And what are we not bringing with us anymore? Like, one of the main things for me, I think, it feels really powerful that self-invalidation, self-silencing, really is got to be like in a bag left on the side of the road. We're moving on, Okay, so 8 of Cups then. In most decks, we see a figure moving away from glasses at the foreground. 8 glasses, goblets. Moving away back to us into the dark of a pathway that we cannot see anything but the beginning. Usually there's a moon there suggesting walking away from something into the unknown. So it's a powerful card for mystics. It's a powerful card for we mystics, because it invites us to validate our inner trust, our inner sight, our inner compass, as well as validating our trust in the unseen realms, in spirit, in guidance that's coming towards us in ways that we can't fully know. We can't fully know. We're walking into the unknown, but we are not alone. We have ourselves and we have the unseen. And 8 of Cups to me is very mature. It's an 8. These are mature cards. Like, it's a very mature thing to walk into the unknown when there's a known in the foreground. The known is in the foreground. So my question for you, listener, is what is the known in the foreground that you are consciously walking away from into the unknown? this is a liberation. It can be a very powerful old story to the younger self who thought we were trapped. The younger self thought that these things had to come with us everywhere we are, maybe because we thought that they were part of who we are and inextricable from us. These shame stories. Like, what if this story of unworthiness, the story of not being a responsible person, the story of your failures doesn't have to come with you as a lantern lighting the way. It's not a super helpful lantern. We can really have so much compassion for the younger selves who had these stories, who carried the shame, who had these fucks. Like, these were fucks that were very serious to us. Like, we really, really gave a fuck about that. Like, we were told that you better give a fuck about this. We may have been told that, like, our life depended on us giving a fuck about it. Our social life depended on us giving a fuck about it. Our abundance relied on us giving a fuck about this thing. But, looks like I got mature. And I disagree. I disagree that I need this. I disagree that I need to give a fuck about this. I disagree that I need to give a fuck about this. I'm not taking that with me anymore. It's part of what I'm leaving behind right now. Who's going to validate it? We're the only ones that can validate it for ourselves. That's what unshaming is. We don't have to wait for someone else to validate what we know deep inside to be true, that thing I'm supposed to give a fuck about, I really do not have to, actually. Nope. You can. That's the thing, is that's why it's maturing, is it's like, you can, like, you do you, yay. I usually hate it when people say you do you, so it's kind of funny I just said that, but because I just find it very condescending. In this case, what it is just liberation, to let people just be who they are on their own path with their capacity at current levels, open to change, but we can't control the timing of their changes. So leaving fucks behind is a maturity thing, I've learned in my 40s, because it means just giving up all hope for now, that those loved ones, those other people are going to understand, are going to cheer you on, are going to validate you, are going to do it too, are going to get it. And that's like real mature. This is some Gandalf moves here. Name change to Gandalf moves. Yeah, that is some swagger, which is why audacity is the number one ingredient for unshaming. Who's gonna give me permission? I'm gonna give me permission. I'm a fucking grown-up. Yeah, so that card also means for me my Saturn and Pisces teachings, which I condense into: you cannot hold the infinite in both hands without limiting it somehow. Saturn and Pisces, limits to the infinite. So there's something here around the limits. Like, I've reached my limit on this fuck having interest to me. I've reached my limit on this story being compelling for me anymore. Looks like I reached my limit. Turns out it wasn't infinite. There are limits. There are limits. I have decided these are the edges. These are the boundaries. These are the borders. This is the form of my divinity path. And it's going to mean this, these fucks, don't worry about it. This, I don't want in my space. This is a way of creating channels for power. And so when I pulled Queen of Disc, I knew that this was what we would be talking about, because in the Thoth deck, there's this extremely fabulous, like Maleficent looking woman who has these huge horns coming out of her head, and she's turning her back to the viewer. And where she is, it's like all green and lush, and it's very sexy. And when she's looking over her shoulder, she sees like an arid landscape where there's no green at all. And so when I get this card, I feel into like the past is the past. Like, it's not here anymore, actually. I did go through those things. That was hard. And where I am, it's not the same. It's not the same. That was then, this is now. Honoring that I'm not doing that anymore. These are the things I'm not doing anymore. And the more we offer those limits, the more we're able to hear our channel. We're able to actually receive the information, because there's like a stronger channel for it to come through, is how I see it. We're not so dispersed everywhere from the vastness of not having limits and boundaries and not having any no's and giving fucks about way too many things. When things aren't as dispersed, Pisces, we're able to really bring them in. And from that place of like constellating power with limits, we're able to be so much more in tune with our connections as mystics to the codes, the assignments, the suggestions, the frequency, energetics, the oracular and the divine that is coming towards us when we're listening and attuning and receiving. How does that feel? How does that feel? Yeah, now I'm looking at my other cards, and I've basically covered all of these except a couple here. So I want to say that one of the things that I'm bringing with me, and I have brought with me, if I used to think I should really put that down, I am bringing with me my imagination. Like one of those cups in the foreground that I don't give a fuck about anymore is people telling me that I need to be in the reality that is being shown to me, and like get real. And I'm sorry. I've been living as a mystic now for 7 years. I create my own reality. I do not have to accept the reality police, as Caroline Casey calls it. The reality is constructed. I see this now. I see that I participate, and I can agree to and then thus contribute to a reality that's being presented to me that I'm supposed to accept. But no, that's not empowering, and that's not actually even real. So imagination is actually an active part of reality creating. These visionary capacities, these dream capacities are important. They belong to the most mature signs, Aquarius and Pisces, which we all have. So they're hardly naive. And the idea that my imagination is makes me naive, that went in a cup many years ago that I left. I'm not honoring that opinion anymore. I don't honor that opinion. That's an opinion. It's not real. And like this world that we live in right now, to me, is just so important to validate your imagination function and to validate like what your reality is according to your frequency. And that invalidation energy, learning the tools and skills to not let it in, because that is a practice. You can learn from me, you can learn from teachers how to not let invalidation energy get to you, and then what to do when it does, because that happens too. But we get to each be participants in the dream that we're living. And to me, this becomes very powerful when we're connected to the frequency of that dream. So very soon, I'm going to be sharing an exciting new project that is going to be all about this. For now, I hope that was helpful. I'll also want to name that because scarcity is like at the root of everything where there's struggle, scarcity. We all have scarcity in our bodies. And it's a deeply, deeply embedded conditioning from colonialism, from white supremacy culture, that we know urgency. Urgency is in our bodies. And also, because of the trauma that we carry, there can be this, it can feel very difficult to access patience. It can feel very difficult to go a long distance with your practices, go a long distance with your processes for repair, for reweaving, for reprogramming, for co-creating new body responses, somatic responses to what comes up in life. But we live in an age where there's so much access to these teachings. There's so much access to information and support around transforming trauma into more life force energy. And so to me, it feels really important to name that we are at the beginning of Pluto and Aquarius. It's a long haul. It's 20 years. We are not going to know all that it meant to us for 20 years. So it's a long process. And I'm inviting you to invite in compassionate patience, trusting that this is a ripening over time, and that the frustration when we want things really fast is from this conditioning. It's not really you. We can repair in our bodies what that urgency and what that impatience can feel like. And if that's the path that you're getting on, that's amazing. It's going to be so helpful at expanding trust. It's difficult to trust when we want things on a certain timeline. Because part of how trust works is surrendering timing on things. and trusting it's all unfolding, it's all unmerging, it is happening. And so needing things to happen on certain timelines can be something that is coming from a human, a very natural, of course we have it. We were conditioned with urgency, And at the same time, inviting in trust practices and teachings and skills and tools to support you in accessing more and more and more trust that you are, that these timelines that you're calling in are ripening for you. The more you're engaging with them and the more you are actively leaving behind what is not coming with you. So it could be a really powerful thing to do here in the dark moon window or whenever you're listening to this, to feel into what you actually know you're leaving behind, what is actually unhooking. Because sometimes these will pop back up and you're like, oh, I guess it's still here. But it doesn't have to be like, it can be more like, oh, the old pattern thinks that this is still affecting me. And just engaging gently with the no thank you on that coming with you. All of these things are things that I teach how to do in my containers. So I feel like allowing for expansive trust, being around people whose voices and whose energy expand your trust. Who expands your trust? These are the individuals that are going to make it more easy. You'll feel more at ease in being in a trust frequency if you're around those who are also living a trust frequency. And you may need to, Eight of Cups, leave behind for a while or create distance from those who activate your fear frequency, shame energy, invalidation energy, reality police energy. Those individuals who currently don't have the capacity for more trust, they're on their journey, and you have the power to decide who gets access to you, to your imagination, to your trust frequency. Because the more you're tapped into this trust frequency, the more you can bring that out into the world for other people to be inspired by, and for other people to connect to, and for other people to get a boost, feel a boost. Even people that you never speak to and you never even introduce yourself to, they feel it. It matters. I'm feeling myself closing. Let me listen, see if there's anything else. I think I'm coming to an end. I'll name that because I'm starting Unshaming Your Chart, I'm going to archive all the old Unshaming the Signs workshops, selling them all through Monday, December 2nd, and then they will be gone. So if you've ever wanted to get any of the workshops, or you want to get the OG material, the workshops are each 22 instead of 33 now, and you can get the entire series for half off. And it was already 3 signs for free, so it's half off of the already discounted. So I can't remember what it works out to, but you basically get each sign for $12 or something, $11 now. So I'll put a link in the show notes for my shop, which is just at my website, brittonlarue.com. I also have 30 copies of Living Astrology right now. And if you order Living Astrology for yourself or someone else, you can put in the notes section who you want it a signed copy made out to. And that can make a really great gift for someone, or you could request it for yourself, that I'll send you a copy with whatever, saying hello to whoever's name was in the notes section. And that can be just like a sweet thing that you couldn't get that if you ordered my book from anywhere else. But if that sounds fun to you, please try to do that. There's no deadline on the Living Astrology. It's just if I run out of the 30 books that I currently have from my publisher, because I have to buy those wholesale. And then, let's see. Also, my workbooks, I don't think there is, I'm not doing a sale on my workbooks, actually. No, the whole set. You can get the whole set of 12 for half off. So it's like, it works out to being wholesale pricing. It's like $17.50 a book, basically, if you buy the whole set. And that is through December 2nd also. So those make amazing gifts, just send somebody their sun sign, get them a set of 3. It's like kind of a no-brainer gift if you have someone in your life who's interested in astrology and you trust that they would resonate with my voice. They're also just beautiful. Even if they never even open the books, they're beautiful. So if you want to get the whole set and then you can just pass out different signs to different people, that could be a fun way to just take care of the business of getting your gifts in order and get a deal on them through Monday, December 2nd. Other than that, stay tuned. Early bird for Unshaming Your Chart is going to be December 5th only. Thursday, December 5th. The doors will open to the class, and for one day only, you'll get $50 off the tuition. Tuition has 3 price tiers, and all price points have a 2-month option if that makes it helpful to you. If you want someone to give you Unshaming Your Chart as a gift, because we start December 18th, so it would be a great gift for someone or for yourself, you can, if you use the pay in full option, if you go through it, there's an opportunity to give the class as a gift. So somebody can put in your email, or you can put in someone else's email, and then you give them Unshaming Your Chart as a gift for the holidays. And that's pretty special gift because we go all the way into February. It's 8 sessions total. It's going to be super powerful. I think it's going to be massive. I think this is going to be a really big course in the astrological community, in the human community. It's different than anything else out there. And it's for beginners all the way to professionals, because we're not doing just the basic how to read your chart. We're doing Unshaming Your Chart, which is a different skill set. You will learn a lot about reading your chart, but the goal is for the purpose of having a loving, compassionate, expansive relationship to your chart that is full of grief and wonder, because both are part of living with the fullness of this human experience. All right, y'all. I think that feels really complete then. Thank you so much. If you've never left a review or a rating for Moon to Moon and you love these Dark Moon downloads, if you found this podcast and you're into it and you want to help somebody else find their way here, I'd be so grateful if you would take the time to do that right now. Thank you so much. All my best until the next one.